Alright, guys. I want to try to keep this one as on point and concise as possible. Very difficult for me. I'm using OneNote to try to help. This is an overarching breakdown of the chaos going on right now politically in the United States. It makes sense once you put it all together. So, hold on, I want to add something real quick. All right. So, right now there's a ton of chaos. There's been like sweeping executive orders and they're moving so quickly, Trump and Elon Musk, that we can hardly keep up. I've already needed to take a break it was like last week at some point because I'm like overwhelmed and it's just so draining at this point. But that is by design. So we've got immigration, insane executive orders, the Department of Education, we've got the Federal Aviation Administration, FEMA, the hack of the Treasury, which is related, Musk deleting free filing, which is only a public good. Like, there's no downside to that. It saves fucking, like, essentially, very quickly, I'll go into this because I don't have it specifically broke down, but like, it took years for it was bipartisan, and essentially what they wanted to do is create a free version of like software because big companies like fucking H&R Block and others sort of were fucking people out of money when they could just do it them damn selves with like software, right? And that's essentially what the software that like H&R Block and like TurboTax and stuff does anyway, right? So they're just looking to help people. That's all it is. And he got rid of that to help himself and his fucking rich buddies so they can take advantage and scam people. But anyway, we've also got the USAID. They all seem like they're like this big, this is the right, this is their plan, their agenda, and he's just doing what he said he was going to do. Now, that is true. He's doing what he said he was going to do, but they all connect. All one very big thing, and I'll break it down for you. So, first, authoritarian regimes have a tactic of overload blitzkrieg, as I call it. It's important because the goals are twofold. One, an inability for courts to keep up and deal with, like, many of these things are actually illegal. Almost all of them are actually. And two, an overload and desensitization of the masses. And we're seeing that a lot, like even myself, like a week ago. And I'm like on this shit like almost every single day. And it gets such craziness, such like, what the fuck? Like, this shit we've never seen before in the history of the United States. It can't be overstated what's going on right now. It's not like exaggeration. So it has a tendency to like make us feel crippled and we just go, what the fuck? And we just shut down and distract. And that's what they want. That's what authoritarian regimes do. They just overload you, and it makes it to where the masses become compliant to an extent. So, why? Why are they doing this? It's very simple. It's all complicated, and it's all like, it seems like fucking chaos everywhere, and it's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, how do you tie it together and make it make sense? I'll do that for you. It's actually quite simple if you break it down to its bare essentials. You could easily summarize by follow the money, right? In 2017, Trump introduced tax cuts for the wealthy that I've banged on about at length, but still, a lot of people still don't even know about it because they don't even follow their own politics. But anyway, he had insane, unheard of amounts of corporate welfare and tax cuts. He claimed that it was going to help the everyone, the working class and everything, and that's not what happened. As usual, just like Reagan pulled, they sold this bullshit trickle down shit that has been debunked like over and over and over again. It does not work. So, okay, that's the point to keep in mind. 2017, tax cuts for the wealthy. All these huge rich one percenters got buddy with Trump, and they fucking loved it, of course, because they raked in insane amounts of money that they wouldn't otherwise have made through these deals. Why does that matter now? Most of them expire sometime within 2025. We're in a very important area right now, at least in terms of what these rich people want and what Trump wants. So these greedy 1% fuckers want to keep stealing from the public. Trump made promises and ceded some of his power to them, especially Elon Musk, in order to not only give them the same cuts, but promised even more. So the issue, this is going to cost about $4 trillion. Let that sink in for a minute. $4 trillion. The problem is, after all these promises, how is Trump going to pay for those? So he already proposed a tax plan that would raise taxes on all lower and middle class families. But even then, you should object to that already. He's already proposed it. He doesn't even hide it. And it's clear that it's going to fuck everyone except for the 1%, right? But that doesn't even come close to scratching the $4 trillion. It doesn't even touch it. That's only like a tiny little nothing, right? So he's got a long way to go. We have this obvious, like, progressive tax system. And when I say progressive, I don't mean politically. I mean, as you make more and more money, you pay more money in taxes, as it should be, right? That's how we fund these really important programs that are like public good services, right? And foreign aid, all that good stuff. So the only way he can even come close, he needs to gut every public good, foreign aid, anything like it that's paid for by American taxpayers, trade deals, anything. Even then, there's still going to be about $2 trillion that he's going to have to make up. And there's only one fucking way that it can be done. And I covered this before, and everybody's like, oh, dude, you're freaking going crazy, conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. Like, anyhow. Health insurance. Medicare, Medicaid, things like it make up about 24% of the budget. Social Security makes up 21%, and defense makes up 13%. These are the areas that he has to lock in on to be able to pull off what he's trying to do. Steal from the American fucking taxpayers. They won't touch defense, so that just leaves Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, right? It's all he has to work with. So why won't they touch defense? They are hiding, like, all of this talk with Doge, and by the way, it's not even an actual government organization. It's unofficial. They can't really do anything legally. But also, we already have an agency specifically for detecting fraud and waste in the government, which means automatically you should be suspicious. But I digress on that part. I'm trying to keep this simple. So, defense is the biggest source of fraud and waste in our system by far. it's easy to hide because all they have to do is go, "Don't you care about your defense and that we don't get attacked by all of our enemies?" Like, it's dumb on its head because, like, how much we overspend. Like, even compared to our number two, is like, holy shit amount. We're like, it's unbelievable the amount of money we spend on defense. So, there's more than that. So, it's the biggest source of fraud. We've seen numerous fucking Congress talks. I don't know what they're called, but they brought up in Congress and like had evidence and shit, and they would bring like there's so many examples like a bag of bolts that costed like several $100s and they cost like nothing to make, shit like that. Like, it's obvious price gouging by contractors. And they want to hide that because almost all of the people that you saw in Trump's inauguration, all those wealthy people, instead of his cabinet members, which you would typically see when a president is inaugurated, all those people are complicit in this whole deal, this whole big scheme. And all of them, almost all of them at least, probably all, but it's factual at least on record that almost all of them have big time fucking defense contracts. So, especially Elon Musk, and almost all of them are some form of scam to where taxpayers are funding them and they're not providing what they claim they're providing. They're always like some sort of fucking scheme or money making racket, if you will. Now, these we know for a fact. We've proven it. The Pentagon has not fucking passed an audit in forever for good reason. Because of all these scams and shit. So, continuing. Immigration. How's that connected? How is that making a bunch of wealthy people more wealthy through tax cuts and shit? Well, it's still connected because the way they're going about this extremely fast, rapid, like they're preying on people's racism and shit to divide the country so that they're not looking at them getting like basically raided right in front of their very eyes. They're too distracted by all the fucking stupid shit, right? So when so many people are pulled from the population all at once, there's no possible way for our system to handle it, even if you pull out National Guard, everything. Now, how does this involve money, whatever? Well, they've already put in place private prisons and like camps that need to be manned that cost a fucking shit ton of money to operate. And those companies are making insane amounts of money off of this administration. So now that you understand what's going on and why it's all connected and why it's such a big deal and why this is fascism, what can you do? What can we do? So the important thing to note is that these people are greatly outnumbered by the masses. And they don't rely on actual power, not objective power. They rely on perceived power to cripple people, to make people feel like they have absolutely nothing they can do, and that's bullshit. Throughout history, masses have fucking risen up and stomped out insanely powerful fucking government systems. And by the way, I'm not advocating for violence. But the best thing we can do at the moment, aside from pressuring like Democrats especially, because it seems like all Republicans are all in and on board and probably on the payroll with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and all these one percenters. Well, you pressure Democrats, fucking push, be annoying as fuck, and do whatever you can to get them to do their fucking job. And let's hope that they're not in on shit too. But we have to slow them down as much as possible. And I know that sounds like that's not really doing anything, but it's huge because it allows courts to catch up to some extent, and it means that they can't break everything all at once. The slower things go, the less they're able to accomplish and the less they're able to break of our system. One example, this is just one little example, but in Chicago, the mayor, the fucking government, protesters, like actual like nonprofit organizations, all work together to let people know their rights. Very important, because ICE operates on like people hoping that people don't understand their rights, and then they can just do whatever the fuck they want, and people don't even know they have options. And they exploit this all the time. So what happened is the Chicago protests blocked them from getting anyone and being able to move further. And then a lot of people are like, well, they're going to get them eventually. Probably. But it slows things down, and it makes it, again, to where courts can catch up. We can establish legal precedent to fucking shut this shit down. And again, you're thwarting the blitzkrieg. You're making it to where they have to jump through hoops to get what they want, and they're not able to just fucking take everything in like a month. That's, at the moment, that's about all we can do. So hopefully this kind of pulls things together and makes things make a little bit more sense. This is the plan. This is the agenda. There's a lot of distraction and like excessive media coverage, and Trump does that anyway. He'll do crazy stuff. He's an idiot, so he does crazy stuff anyway, but he's going over the top even from that, and just going crazy, so that media is covering everything, and it just makes people shut down. That's what they want. And that is what we cannot give them. Thank you for your time.